Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Imagine a utopian city bursting with life and innovation, but this ideal is threatened by an unseen danger, the danger of flooding. Hello and welcome, I am Andreas Klippe, and I tell you how we can build safety into the structure of our urban dreams, how an architect can build safe homes for people, taking into account the surroundings and landscape, and how the investor in land development can achieve higher returns. Yeah, let's walk through our imaginary town. There are parks with children playing, streets lined with trees, and diverse buildings, a blend of residential, commercial, and administrative facilities. But beneath its beauty, a question looms. What if this land is prone to flooding? Our story begins with this challenge. I titled it The Master Planner's Dilemma. So enter our protagonist, a visionary architect who recognizes the threat. And what is the task? The task? To integrate flood protection seamlessly without compromising the town's charm. And when I talk about a town, it can be also a smaller village, it can be a municipality, things like that. What you can imagine, a small part where you need a land development plan for. Definitely. So the path of urban planning is often clouded with misconceptions about flood protection. Too expensive, too complicated, perhaps unnecessary. Let's navigate this maze, debunking myths and illuminating the truth with real-world examples and expert insights. Right? Are you ready? Okay. I love this button from time to time. So the architect shall make all buildings, all investment flood-free. But how and when? These are major questions. How do I do my township, my municipality, my subdivision flood-free? How do I make it? Question number 2, which is the right technology? Question number 3, how much does it cost the investor? And the final lessors of buyers of lots, those who buy the lots at the end of the day. That can be a private homeowner, that can be a factory owner, that can be somebody with a warehouse, or somebody who wants to put a hospital on this place, or a gym, office space, supermarket, whatever. Question number 4, when can I implement it into my plans? That is what the architect is really interested in. He wants to draw something and to present it to the investor, to the land developer. So, and question number 5, shall I implement it into my master plan already? Very good question. Or later? So that brings us to question number 6. How? Because we only talk about grassland. So there's nothing. There's only nothing, grass, soil. No, there's nothing at the moment. So how can I think about flood protection already when I haven't designed anything? I tell you later that is possible and that's necessary, but let's see. I will add some questions, some questions from my side, because the previous questions most probably that is what the architect already knows, and he knows how to ask these questions, and that turns around in his head, and his brain is busy to find answers for these questions. So I will add some more questions. Question number 7, how does early flood protection influence the master plan? Oh, the answer might be, why shall the early flood protection influence the master plan? And yeah, that is exactly the question. Not why, but how. And that has a consequence. We will see that later. Question number 8, how much time would I lose if I didn't include early flood protection in the master plan? How much time would I lose? That means the project will be delayed. Will the investor like it? What kind of consequences have it? Does it cost me more money because I get my fee to develop the master plan, and then suddenly I have to make another revision and another revision and another revision, and I still don't have the solution because suddenly everything is changing, everything is turning around. That brings us to question number 9. How long would the whole project be delayed? Question number 10. What would be the additional costs for me and for the investor? What would be the additional costs? Very important question, because at the end, everything is about money. The investor wants to earn money. That is why the investor is investing into land development, because he wants to sell it later or rent it out. So how much? Which are the costs? Very important question before I do, or anybody is doing any investment. And finally, question number 11. How much reputation would it cost me as an architect if I do not follow the rules of the logic? How much reputation would it cost me as an architect if I do not follow the rules of the logic? These were 11 questions that normally are not asked before some architects are developing master plans in areas where flood protection should be considered. I don't say in flood-prone areas. That I think that is a no-brainer, that you include flood protection in an early stage for your master plan. But I also talk about not flood-prone areas. I can give you several examples where in a not flood-prone area buildings were flooded. Just an example, that was the Clark Investors and Locators main office in Clark Development Zone. That is one of the biggest economic zones in Southeast Asia and the Philippines, 80 kilometers north of Manila. And I know that very well because I was on the board at this time. I was the only foreigner there. And one day the office staff called me and said, Andreas, Dr. Klippe, our office is flooded up to the ankles. And so what happened at the end of the day? There was a small slope there was at the garden side. And it was not raining for many days, many weeks. So the soil was very dry, like concrete. And then suddenly a heavy rain came and turned the garden into a big swimming pool, into a rising river in a way. But that was enough to flood the terrace, and through the terrace, the water got into the office room through the terrace door. And that flooded the whole office. So, but everybody told before, you cannot get flooded because it's a non-flood prone area. Totally wrong when you hear that. Nobody can guarantee it to you because it highly depends on your environment, on how much surface is concreted, what's the slope, what kind of slope you have outside. Is there enough green space? What are the neighbors doing, etc., etc., etc. So I always say, what gets in must get out. That is like in a bathtub. When you take a bath in a hotel room, or perhaps even at home, you must close the faucet one time, because if not, it's over. And don't fall asleep while you fill the bathtub with water, because then it is overflowing the edge of the bathtub, and it will flood your hotel room. Don't think about the consequences. Yeah, then I hear very often architects saying, I know flood barriers. We will integrate them later. Please take a deep breath right now. I give you just 1 second.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding, by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So I think that was enough to take a deep breath, and because why? Flood protection does not mean flood barriers only. There is much more until I have completely protected an area or a building. It is not only this piece of barrier. And what I hear very often, that is only a piece of metal. How much the square meter? That is absolutely not true, and even to say it is totally wrong, because you cannot think about square meters when it comes to the safety of an area or a building. Yeah, so that is why we have to educate the people to learn better how to protect others. If not, the disasters will continue, and we will see what happens in the news. So this part now explores how early inclusion of flood defenses not only safeguards but enhances the master plan. Ready? So I call this part 3, overcoming misconceptions. And along the way, our architect faces myths. Flood protection is too costly, too cumbersome, and another myth. We are in an early stage. We don't need flood protection yet. Later we can add it. We'll debunk these, revealing how strategic planning can be both cost-effective and aesthetically pleasing, turning potential risks into opportunities. That brings me to part 4, a blueprint for success. So our story progresses as the architect collaborates with engineers, weaving flood barrier technology into the urban fabric. From green spaces that double as water catchments to elevated structures and smart drainage systems, we explore innovative solutions suddenly that blend functionally with design. And let's get practical. We walk through the steps of integrated flood protection into architectural designs. And how do these measures affect the cost per square meter? That is the essential question. All these 11 questions from before shall be answered. But here in this blueprint for success in part 4, that is where the architect is already applying all these things. That means he gets answers for his questions from before. And because he is working with the right experts, and or perhaps he has gathered all this knowledge already by himself in the meantime, then he will know the answers, and then he can do his master plan already with a fully integrated flood protection for the whole area. And that does not mean that you think about protecting individual buildings really in the detail. We are not at this stage yet. We are at the master plan stage. That is understood. But you always have to think how to make the whole lot flood free. And then later, you know already that you have certain buildings. So that has consequences for the whole design you have to do, and for the design of your buildings as well. So better don't think about how many buildings you put before you don't know how many buildings are you allowed to put in your plan. That's the thing. That is why from the very beginning you should work on that. So how do they how does it align with the aesthetic vision? So the part 5 is the realization of a dream. Now we come to the dream. As our narrative concludes, the town, so this village, this municipality, this compound, the subdivision, stands not only as a beacon of modern architecture, but as a testament to resilience. And as we conclude, our architect's vision has transformed in the meantime. Their blueprint now embodies not just aesthetics and functionality, but also resilience and safety. Once again, that's a great sentence. What did I say? the blueprint now embodies, did I say embodies? Yeah. The blueprint now embodies not just the aesthetic part and the functionality, but also the resilience and the safety. And the key takeaway from all these things, and especially the 11 questions I was mentioning just before. Early integration of flood protection is not an optional extra. It is the foundation of sustainable urban development. It's a foundation of sustainable urban development. So it's a community designed to thrive, not just survive. To thrive, not just survive. And in the face of nature's unpredictability. Wow! Let's conclude. Which are the results? Number one, the architect, let's stay with the singular form. The architect knows from the beginning what kinds of flood protection technology he or she has to provide and to integrate into the planning for the master plan. Into the planning for the master plan. Exactly. There is a plan for the plan. And it's no more longer, I have a lot, I just make a nice planning. No, suddenly we have to integrate the dangers from outside. I mean, think about what the first people have done in America when they all came from Europe. And the first, before they even thought about doing business or whatever, they tried to defend themselves against wild animals and, of course, the Red Indians who lived at this place. So that means the Europeans were all invaders at the end of the day. So, but the first thing they did, they tried to defend themselves. And that is the same thing what we have to apply for such a master planning. We have to defend the plan first. And defending is, of course, you think about earthquake. That is one thing. You think about threat of being flooded from the seaside, from the river or creek side, any waterway, and from rain. Because sometimes it can be enough to have heavy rain. If you have 100 liters per square meter per hour, then you face most probably a problem. Not only when it comes to basement parkings. And then suddenly I see these funny things that say put humps in front of basement parkings. That is really, really, really funny because we had one application where the customer told us, there was not a customer. We met this person after years and we said, hey, what did you do, by the way? We made a big hump in front, but that was a really stupid idea because the first time the forklift was falling down. I said, because nobody was thinking that in 362 days in a year, you use this way to drive with your forklift several times in an hour to your warehouse and your fabrication, fully loaded. Because the tests they made was not fully loaded, but then it was fully loaded, so the whole thing was falling down because of this hump. So that is only one stupidity, and I really call it a stupidity because that is not logical at all to do it this way. So part one, that was architect knows from the beginning what kinds of flood protection technology he or she has to provide and to integrate into the planning for the master plan. The second result is the architect can work quickly without additional delays, since flood protection related questions and answers are already included in his or her ideas. Result number 3, the investor will know exactly how much additional money he has to provide for his investment in land development. I think that is one of the most important things because the investor is a person who decides at the end of the day. Who orders the music can decide which music will be played. So the investor needs to know how much additional money he needs or she needs. Result number 4, the investor will know how much he or she has to increase the square meter price for locators or buyers of single lots. that is also important if you are the one who wants to rent a lot. You want to know how much is a square meter, or how much is a whole house if you're a homeowner and you buy this house. Result number 5: all three, the architect, the investor, and the end user, the locator, will know that the property is flood protected from the danger of heavy rain and flooding due to climate change. They are well prepared for the future. Result number 6: all three, architect, investor, and locator, can sleep well. And when I say sleep well, means also you can work well, you can stay safe in your inside your building, in this area. The locators will stay safe inside their buildings. Number 7, the locators will stay safe inside their buildings, even with protected cars and a protected garden around them. Don't only think about the house, think about everything what is around. The swimming pool. Have you ever cleaned a swimming pool that was fully loaded with muddy water from the hills or from the environment? Good luck with that, because after a while everything becomes hard like concrete, and you need heavy tools to take out this heavy mud. It's not mud anymore, it's really concrete, like stone already. And result number 8, the investor has land he or she can sell without future costly legal cases. Because what if suddenly the master plan looks good, but then they all continue because they are in a rush and nobody has time to think about it anymore, and everybody thinks, we put some barriers here and there that will work in front of some doors. And then suddenly the houses are all flooded, everything is flooded, the cars are damaged, so finally the manufacturing is damaged. So companies with a commercial intention will, of course, not invest anymore, and they will all leave. What happened in Thailand in the semiconductor industry, I think 2012, many companies left, and the others, they all complained to the government. They said, if you don't do anything, I will leave the country, because it is not a place where I can do my business. So that is very bad, because the price for the square meters will definitely go down, and the investor will face a lot of costly legal cases. So result number 9 from today's flood protection secrets episode is the architects will have increased, or the architect will have increased his national and international reputation with the best design for a master plan. Wow, how does it sound? Imagine you are on stage in Singapore or in Hong Kong or in New York, in Las Vegas, in Berlin, in Munich, Paris, London, Sydney, did I forget an important city, Chicago, and you speak in front of all other architects from the world, and you explain to them how you successfully included flood protection into your master plan, and how many months you saved at the end of the day. The thing is, you don't know how many months you saved because you didn't do it wrong from the beginning, but you compare it perhaps to other experience you made. And then you explain how you could satisfy your investor, and that at the end of the day, he knew very well the price per square meter from the beginning. So the financing was done without problems. The bank at the end also agreed, because there was a flood protection plan. Don't think that they don't ask for it. If they don't ask for it, they are really stupid. Then, but at the end, it doesn't help you, because later the owners the locators will realize that suddenly their property is getting flooded. So we still stay with the architect, so that he will increase his national, international reputation, and probably attract more clients who want to get his expertise, because that is what will count in the future. If architects ask themselves these questions, they will be on the right track for a world threatened by climate change, and this climate change is going on and getting worse and worse with every year. We beat heat records, rain per square meter in an hour records, rainy period records, and melting icebergs records, and so on and so forth. So do you think that the situation regarding flooding and heavy rain will decrease or increase? Answer the question and then you know what to do. So, our flood protection secrets episode ends. Really? But the message is clear. Integrating flood protection into urban planning isn't a burden. It's an opportunity to redefine safety and sustainability in our living spaces. And it increases the value of the land and its buildings. And as always, you might ask, where is my key takeaway? Where is my golden nugget? Okay, here it comes, your golden nugget. In land development, remember, the true cost isn't measured in dollars spent, but in futures secured. I read it again. In land development, remember, the true cost isn't measured in dollars spent, but in futures secured. Integrating flood protection isn't just building structures, it's building safeguards for generations. Yeah, this episode was titled Designing Resilience, Flood Protection Urban Masterplans, subtitled with Crafting Safe Havens in a Flood-Prone World. And I thank you very much for joining me on this journey of discovery and innovation. And if you found inspiration in our story, subscribe for more insights on building flood resilient community. Subscribe to the channel, Technical Sales International, if you haven't done already. Stay safe and flood free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with a new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.thefloodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering, German quality, safe, flood protection secrets, the secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.